Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1 and Jujutsu Kaisen 0, the movie, on Netflix. And I decided to kind of slot these together because it kind of worked similarly that way, similar to the quintessential quintuplets. Now granted, it's not the same that like the Zero movie contains vastly important kind of information that can like at the end or at the beginning, but it's a nice prequel that gets us more information on Gojo and Yuta and other kind of characters that we see in the main anime. And I really like this. I really like this one. I enjoyed it. Now, my main kind of issues pop into play in around the middle of the season because we kind of get into this whole kind of interschool kind of arc that I'm just like, okay, before we start kind of getting inklings of what's kind of going on and what we're kind of driving towards throughout the show. Zero has a strong throughput because of what it deals with Yuta. So actually, let us go with the movie first, since that's the prequel and gets us kind of acclimated to this. So, Jujutsu Kaisen pretty much factors on a world of curses, mainly negative emotions welling up and creating these kind of spirits and everything that the Jujutsu sorcerers have to deal with. Gojo is a teacher at the Tokyo school, and there's also a Kyoto school, and he's pretty much kind of dealing with the elder groups, and we see in this the inklings of him being like, fuck this kind of authority, because we see this kid, Yuta, who is under this curse of Rika, and that these bullies are trying to bully him, and then Rika comes out and pretty much stuffs all of them, like these 4 bullies, in a locker. And of course the heads are like, kill the kid, get rid of it, the curse is too dangerous, and Yuta's like fine with it because he's just kind of done with the shit. But Gojo's like, I think that you could do some good with this. Come here, work with the school, see what kind of works out. And that we see that Gojo doesn't like the youth being taken away from the young and is really kind of set against the kind of higher ups. And he starts training Yuta, and we see him introduced to Maki Zenin, who is a Jujutsu sorcerer who can't see curses and instead has to use cursed objects. Panda, who is this cursed corpse that has like 3 different kind of cores. We get introduced to that in the first season, but we don't really see that much here. And then let me see here. This one curse user that can utilize his voice for curses, so he can't really do much. Toge Inumaki, there we go. But his is like a special grade kind of one, Rika, and we see him kind of taken out. We see that they try and help out these elementary school kids who've been eaten by a curse. Maki loses her stuff, and Yuta unleashes Rika and takes it out, saving the other kids in the process. Gojo is warned that if he does that again, he's going to be killed. So he's able to kind of teach him to imbue the cursed energy into this sword, and we see him kind of going around working with Inumaki to take on this one kind of spirit, well, all these kind of spirits, him utilizing his voice. He pretty much speaks in pretty much ingredients because of how powerful his cursed skills are with the speech. But then they have to work together to take out this big one that was done by Geto. And it's like, oh god, he's this Jujutsu sorcerer that pretty much views anyone who can't use curses and use cursed energy as a monkey, and is trying to do this whole thing of like this parade of 100 demons around December, around Christmas time, following kind of like certain kind of cycles. And we see that he's pretty much an asshole, utilizing and eating kind of curses and trying to build up his own kind of strength, and he really wants Rika and wants to kill Yuta to get her. And throughout this, we see that Yuta had this girl that they'd promised to pretty much get married when they were older, and she got killed in this car accident. And he doesn't know if Rika cursed him or if he cursed Rika. And we find out that Gojo was able to find that he is from the lineage of a powerful kind of jujutsu line, and that he made the curse, but he's able to kind of work through it by the end of the movie. And also, the animation and fight scenes are fucking top notch here. Like, they are fucking amazing. The movie specifically is the tighter, more honed story and everything. They really do a good job with Yuta and seeing him go through bonding with the classmates and then fighting Geto and utilizing Rika and even making sure that she's under kind of control, because Rika was jealous of Maki and was going to go do some shit with her, and Yuta's like, no, we're not doing that. And pretty much making a kind of pact with her to pretty much take down Geto. However, Geto gets thunder blasted, loses an arm, and is kind of fucked up, but Gojo kind of lets him be after he's kind of escaped. And we see that Yuta is able to let Rika go, and that we'll kind of see what kind of goes on. He's mainly been alluded to in the first season, but we get our main kind of introduction to him here. I don't know if he pops up in later seasons, but I do like this. I mean, they even make references to like Yu Yu Hakusho and stuff like that, with Yuji Itadori, the main character in the in the main series. So I would definitely recommend the movie. Now, I watched it after the first season because I didn't know what kind of shit would work on, but I would recommend doing it that way as well, because we get introduced to some characters that you see actually doing certain kind of things. But if you wanted to be like, fuck it, I want to see what the movie's about, and then see the show, I don't think it would really affect your enjoyment that much either way. Granted, it's an hour and 44 minutes according to Netflix, and it moved at a nice pace. I would definitely recommend it, though granted, it's not for the faint of heart. These are dark, nasty fucking things that we're dealing with the curses and everything going on, and the negative emotions and everything going on, and Yuta wanting pretty much to end himself because of being cursed for so long since he was a small child, with all this. But seeing him work through all this, gain his friends, being willing to lay down his life for his friends, and then letting go of Rika and moving kind of forward was really kind of nice and awesome to see. That's the kind of story that I like to see. I don't mind darkness and everything, but when it's like, oh, the world is shit, we can't fix it. Oh, everything's nihilistic, nothing matters, nothing to that. I don't really like those things. I don't mind darkness, but the light is important to balance it out. But granted, if you go like, everything's great, everything's sunshine and happiness and all that kind of stuff, well, that's the kind of world I'd like to shoot for and strive for. Like slice of life and everything, but dealing with hardships and challenges is fine. This helped balance it out, and I think they did a really good job on the movie. No notes. I liked how they progressed and how they set up Geto, and as a very credible antagonist of what was kind of going on, him building up his own kind of cadre of other curse users and wanting to do this like 100 Demon March thing. So, let us get into the first season then. First season really has a lot of stuff that is kind of similar to Yu Yu Hakusho, but I see its main inspiration is more along the lines of Naruto. We'll have to see how that kind of works out. Now, granted, I've watched some of Naruto, but there's a lot to fucking get through with that. But it's mainly Yuji Itadori. His main family is his grandpa. His grandpa's telling him to don't be like me, be surrounded by people and die a good death. As his grandpa then dies, like, oh shit. Then we see that he's pretty much helping this club. We see this Fushiguro dude trying to find this cursed object that's gone, but because like Yuji had found it and pretty much gave it to the occult club, they start opening it and shit starts going completely nuts. And we find out that this is a finger from this forearm dude, Sukuna, like one of the most powerful kind of curses and whatnot. And everything's kind of going nuts. Yuji pops up to help and save his classmates. And the thing is, Fushiguro's like, dude, do not let that thing eat that. So he just takes it and eats it himself. So we essentially get a similar kind of situation like Naruto. Naruto, however, he was like a baby when he got the Nine-Tailed Fox Demon sealed within him. This, Yuji had his own, he's like, fuck this, alright. And then he becomes possessed by Sukuna and pretty much deals with certain kind of shit. Gojo then pops up and we see that he's kind of more hardened in stance in the season of like, fuck these assholes. Because it's like, these elders have failed us. We've got all this kind of shit going on, and we got to deal with this. And Gojo is able to take down Sukuna pretty effectively before Yuji's able to like wrest control back. And then we see that he's pretty much supposed to be executed, kind of similar to Yuta. But Gojo's like, how about we do a stay of execution? His idea is to instead gather all of the fingers from Sukuna, which would be 20 in total, have Yuji eat them, and then execute him to kill the curse completely. It's like, alright, interesting. We'll have to see how that kind of works out there. So Sukuna is in a kind of antagonistical position where he's like, I want to get all my power back and take over this vessel completely. This is evidently a rare kind of occurrence in the universe, and that it's about like 1,000 years or so that it would take a vessel to kind of pop up like this. Let me see. Damn you, if I wanted to close it, I'd close it. Sorry, my phone is acting like... I'm mainly going into this because I need to know certain kind of Nobara. Alright. So, this pretty much lays out the plan and the plot. Our main kind of focus is to try and get Sukuna taken out of the equation, and Yuji's trying to figure out how to kind of do this, kind of control his power and everything, getting introduced to kind of the society at large, and it works out pretty well. We see that he gets introduced to Nobara, the next kind of person in their kind of class, because we see that there's not that many Jujutsu sorcerers. We've got the 3 second years that we've seen of Inumaki, Maki, and Panda. Fushiguro, Yuji, and Nobara are the first years that we got, and Nobara uses a hammer and nails that she imbues with cursed energy and utilizes this strawman kind of thing. Fushiguro utilizes shadows and Shinigami and getting them out that way. So I do like that we have a vast kind of utilization of cursed spirit energy. Gojo's is fucking nuts. He's like super strong as shit. But we then also get introduced to our kind of antagonistical forces. Granted, we got Sukuna, but we've also got other cursed spirits. We've got Geto working with this Mahito cursed spirit that's more of a kind of human one. Jogo, which is more of an elemental kind of volcano one, and let me roll. Nanami, which is more of the kind of earth kind of one. So, the thing is, we get this kind of weird kind of thing where they get sent pretty much on their first kind of mission, but the thing is, it's a special grade, and they get really kind of fucked up. Fushiguro and Nobara are able to get out, but Yuji pretty much has to let Sukuna take over to take out the spirit and also retrieve one of his fingers, and then he fights Fushiguro and pretty much does this kind of thing where he just rips out Yuji's heart and be like, yeah, if he takes over to like save your life, he's gonna die. And he does die, but then we see that Sukuna makes a pact with him that if he chants something, Yuji has to give him control for a minute and then brings him back to life. But they hide this fact and train him for pretty much a month to be kind of stronger, because Yuji doesn't do very well in the first one because he doesn't know how and have a handle on his cursed energy completely. And the thing is, Gojo is able to kind of train him on that, as we then get him kind of reintroduced as they do the whole sister school kind of Kyoto, Tokyo Jujutsu school thing going on, as we then get introduced to Maki's sister Mei, this dude that pretty much controls another kind of corpse, cursed corpse, Toto, which is this interesting kind of like freakishly strong dude, kind of similar to Yuji. They of course become best friends because they have the same taste in women. And then this other dude with like all these arrows and shit. We also see that Yuji before he gets into this whole thing, runs into this Junpei dude who pretty much gets taken under Mahito's wing, and we also see that. What is his name? Oh no, Nanami is the one that is the dude that trains Yuji, not the other spirit. Hanami is the other spirit. That's why. Sorry, they were a little bit similar. Nanami is an interesting character as well, where he got disillusioned with the corporate world, but also was disillusioned with the jujitsu world, and he has similar kind of views as Gojo, but Gojo's kind of got his own kind of thing going on. We also get an old principal dude from the Kyoto school that rocks out with a guitar, but we don't see that much, as we see that as the sister school thing is going on. Mahito, Hanami, pretty much take on and try to get more of the cursed kind of fingers of Sukuna. And they do succeed in that, and we get some really good fight scenes. But the thing is, with the way that the arc was going for this season, I'm like, okay, we get Yuji, he gets introduced to this, we see that he dies, and then we get him trained up. He gets this really bad situation with Junpei, where him and Nanami are fighting Mahito and trying to figure out this cursed spirit who can manipulate souls and change the form of bodies that way, which is what he's been doing. He does it to Junpei. Junpei dies. Also forcing Yuji to kill people, which he doesn't want to do, and how that kind of affects him and Nanami and their kind of relationship, because their teaching relationship is different than Gojo's. Gojo's is more similar kind of style to how Yuji works out. So seeing that is a really good kind of thing to give us growing room for both Yuji and Nanami. Again, the highest parts of these are the action scenes. They do very meticulous work with them, where they flow very well. The action is clean and clear, even though a lot of crazy ass shit's going on. So I top them out with that. World and lore building, world building and lore building is another strength, as well as the characters. The plot is where it gets a little bit messy for me, mainly down to execution, kind of similar to quintessential quintuplets. I would definitely recommend this to pretty much anyone, especially into shonen. However, the darker subject matter, I'd be like, if this sounds like this would disturb you, please don't watch it, because there's a lot of crazy ass shit, blood, guts, and gore, and people being harmed and killed. So if that's not up your alley, that's fine. That's cool. I don't want you to fucking have nightmares and shit over this. That's the last thing that I'd ever want to happen when I'm like recommending an anime to someone. If you're not into this, it's quite alright and cool. And even though I like it, that's quite alright. You know what I mean? And I can understand if people are like, I'm not liking this. That's cool. But I really latched onto Yuji and Gojo, Fushiguro, Nanami, and I'm interested to see what's going on with the other characters, especially why Geto has this kind of dotted line on his skull around there. What his whole objectives are, because they want to do something around October 31st in Shibuya. Shibuya? Or Shinjuku? But they kind of want to do a repeat of what kind of happened in the movie on October 31st in Shibuya. Alright, yeah, did it. And we also get a baseball game, which was kind of weird. I thought they would do a little bit more with that one, especially since we only had one person utilizing their cursed power in the one riding the broom from the Kyoto school. I mean, it was a nice kind of change up from the kind of battle action stuff that we were getting. Yuji getting pretty much into this whole kind of Black Flash kind of thing as his signature move was kind of nice, and also gives him kind of more of a visual kind of flair that's a little bit different, and getting into a zone and being able to unlock that, that's a cool kind of concept to kind of play around with. And him and Toto banging it out on Hanami was a different kind of situation to see, because we see them utilizing different kind of tactics that is different than Yuji and Nanami going after Mahito, as they were dealing with that whole kind of Junpei situation. And we see that the principal pretty much tried to utilize the Kyoto squad to kill Yuji. Like, that was the best kind of thing that popped out of this. I think this was a little bit early to have this kind of inter-school kind of thing kind of going on. I usually need a little bit more time for a tournament kind of arc to kind of pop up, and I would have just waited at least a little bit later, maybe another season, because we had a nice kind of like progression that we're going, and then it's like, what the fuck's kind of going on here? And then we kind of end off that Mahito had gotten these kind of cursed womb baby things and had them set up for the end season. We see Fushiguro pretty much take out this other kind of special grade curse that had eaten a finger of Sukuna. Sukuna eats it because he doesn't give a shit. And because Fushiguro's like, fine, I'll give this to you, but don't let him eat it. And he's like, it's like, fuck. But Yuji doesn't really have a choice in that matter. And they take out these other kind of cursed spirits, except for the third one. And it's just like, okay, interesting kind of place to kind of end it on. It doesn't feel as much of a kind of abrupt ending as quintessential quintuplets for the second season. And granted, that wasn't even really abrupt. It just kind of stopped as like, okay, we're going to finish this with a movie. But we see that they're pretty much recommended to be grade 1 sorcerers from all this stuff that they've gone on, because Nobara and Yuji taking on these other kind of cursed spirits was actually a pretty kind of different fight, because one of them pretty much utilizes this rock kind of thing, and Nobara is utilizing her cursed energy because it's blood that they'd sprayed on, and her pretty much just fucking hammering the nails into her arm and utilizing it to fuck over the other cursed, pretty much vessel, I believe, concept-wise, because these people were force-fed these objects, and it took them over and changed them. Yuji kind of lucked out because Sukuna at least looks similar to him. I mean, pretty much intentionally, probably, so that way they don't have to completely change him and transform him every time. But, like, shit. We can see a lot of different kind of ways that vessels can be done. And it's like, alright, let's kind of see how this works out. I like the world, I like the characters, it's just, we had a kind of progression that I thought we were going on, and then it kind of went a little bit nutty, and I don't mind that we got to a kind of tournament and different kind of schools arc, because it works out to show us other kind of characters utilizing cursed powers in ways that we don't really know, and gives us more of an organic explanation. So that's the positive for it. It just felt like it derailed the plot a little bit, which I would prefer if it didn't. I thought we would need a little bit more for Yuji to get kind of like up to that kind of level. And for our antagonist to get a little bit more under our feet. I know that sounds kind of strange, but like you'd get under their feet, but like to get under our feet for them, so that we're like, okay, this is what they're trying and attempting to do. So we'll see how that kind of works out. I still think that these are two strong things that work out very well to showcase these stories and characters. I just wish they'd been a little bit better, but this doesn't really turn me off at all. I really love the characters, love the world, and want to see what goes on with this, and I will definitely be looking into other seasons with this as well. And I would definitely pretty much recommend it, except for like the crazy darkness that is in this. And I think they do a really good job of balancing it, because they have nice kind of funny bits that go on. They have stuff similar to kind of Demon Slayer at the end, Juju Stroll or whatnot, with kind of crazy shit that goes on, but I like that they're able to balance the things where I don't get complete and utter tonal whiplash. Though, granted, if somebody does get tonal whiplash of how they're like doing certain kind of serious stuff and they're like, ooh, really? As they change up and do different kind of things with like their comedy and all that, I totally get that. Just for me, it didn't get as whiplashy of like we're dealing with a serious thing and then we get a little bit of a funny thing and then we get their kind of funny, wacky thing in certain kind of places. It's like, alright, I dig this, I want to see where this goes. So those are my opinions on the season and movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. if you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.